After playtesting a bunch, I'm finally happy to show you guys what I came up with for DarkKnightmon in the BT10 format. Hello Digimon players and fans, welcome back to another brand new Digimon Deck Profile and in-depth building guide video. The DarkKnightmon line received a bunch of new support from BT10 and is definitely one of the newest decks that people are talking about. I think DarkKnightmon X Antibody is a really cool design and love the artwork of it as well. But not only that, it gives the deck a very reliable level 6 boss Digimon to go into, which it didn't have from before. The deck has a very unusual way of playing, and it actually took me quite some time before I got the hang of it. The DarkKnightmon deck is actually all about keeping the board afloat by replaying your level 4s over and over again. This is to maintain your other Digimon, which will mainly be your Skull Knightmons and your Deadly Axemons on your side, so then you can make follow-up plays for further control and aggression. While doing so, your goal is to slowly chip away your opponent's security until you can swing for game, and that's how you win. I also got a how to play and combo segment afterwards to teach you guys what the game plan and approach is for this deck, so definitely stick around for that. With the intro out of the way, let's begin with the deck profile first. Alright, starting off with our Digi Egg cards, we got the 4 copies of the Pagumon and as well as 1 copy of Monimon. Pagumon is just really great because on deletion you get to kind of search, kind of like a draw power card by grabbing you a black Digimon on deletion. Monimon on the other hand is that if all turns, if this Digimon has Twilight, it gains extra 1000 DP, which really does come up every now and then. And quite a handful of our Digimon we play are Twilight, which synergizes very greatly. And 5 eggs is pretty good for this deck. If not, you guys can just stick with the 4 Pagus instead. Okay, so now let's talk about our rookies. Let's showcase the brand new Monotamon first. We got 4 copies of this one, as well as another 4 copies of the older Monotamon from BT7. Both these Monotamons help you search, gather your pieces, gather your Nightmons, Skull Knightmons, Dark Knightmons, whatever you need to go for your plays with those cards. The Monotamon, the new one on BT10, reveals the top 4, adding 2 either black with Nightmon or Deadly Axemon in their names, or Twilight in their traits to your hand. 2 hits is very good. It's very efficient in this deck as well, being the best searcher. The BT7 one, on the other hand, reviews the top 3, and you can only grab 1 Nightmon or 1 Deadly Axemon among them, and then you place the rest to the bottom. So that's basically the 2 different kinds of Monotamons that I like to max out for searching efficiency. And then to sum up for our rookies, we got the 4 copies of Chikurimon. This card is just super good from the security. There's very little protection against its effect for de-digivolving, which is why it's super good. And yeah, I want to, have this activate in security. If not, if it's in my hand, digivolving it is not an issue anyways. That's it for all of our rookies and level 3s. Let's talk about our level 4s. There's a lot to talk about and showcase you guys right here because this deck does heavily focus on level 4s mainly. We first and foremost have the 4 copies of Skull Knightmon back in BT7. When attacking, there's a combo with it where you can trash all Digivolution cards underneath your Deadly Axemon, placing it underneath, and then he can Digivolve into a Dark Knightmon for free. Having the security +1 is just super crucial. Not only just I love it so much because it's security +1, but also, just being able to apply pressure and win a little bit faster is really what he is all about. And he's super core. You have to keep 4 copies no matter what. Since we talked about Deadly Axemon from his effect, of course, we had to play 4 copies of the Deadly Axemon. This one is also really good because on play, you read top 5 and then get to search for 2 Nightmon in their names and place the rest to the bottom, but also providing your Nightmon inheritable extra 2000 DP is a very good combination along together with your Skull Knightmon when you do the Dark Knightmon combo play, which I will showcase you guys later as well. Now hold on for a second. I got a quick question for you. Have you actually subscribed to the channel yet? Because if you haven't, then you definitely should do so because we got lots of BT10 Digimon deck profiles and content on this channel, so you definitely want to turn on that notification bell while you're at it to stay tuned for more. Also, please do help me out and give this video a like because it just really helps with the channel as well. But once again, thank you so much for the support. Let's get back into the deck profile. Now for the newer cards, we first and foremost have 4 copies of this brand new BT10 Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode. The first thing to understand is that this card is also treated as Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon, which is really good and applies no matter where it is, in trash or in hand, but probably not in the raising area. On play, review the top 3 cards of your deck and you get to add 1 Knightmon in its name, 1 Deadly Axemon, or 1 Nene among them to your hand, and then you trash the rest. Now it has a Digicross requirement that you can actually Digicross to reduce the hard play cost for it by having a Skull Knightmon or Deadly Axemon or both, and for each you get to reduce the cost by 1, so you get to really easily manipulate the memory gauge with this card, which is very, very nice. You can even use himself for Digicrossing, which is really cool because he is always considered as a Skull Knight and a Deadly Axe as well. Just really, really nice combos right here. Definitely for also, like I mentioned, he is a searcher that you do want to have him to set up your trash very nicely. Next, we got 2 copies from this guy, Skull Knightmon Cavalier Mode BT8. Very similar to Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe Mode, this Digimon is also treated as a Skull Knightmon and Deadly Axemon as well. When Digivolving, he gains jamming and also blocker until the end of your opponent's turn. Mainly what we want to play this guy is because it's a very nice tech to Digivolve for 1 on top of our Skull Knightmon, so we can actually do some very cool early checks and early combos with this card, which again, I'll quickly show you guys how to do it, but yeah, super cool. You can go for aggressive plays, and I sometimes do want to bump this card a little bit up, but there's not really enough space overall, but 2 is really, really good when I see it. Last but not least, to round up for the level 4s, we got 2 Grumblemons. We do hybrid for game. We do play a handful of Tamers, and we do usually want to have that extra swing, that sneaky game winning attack as well. So yeah, that's it for level 4s. Let's talk about our level 5s. First, we got the brand new DarkKnightmon from BT10. Now, this guy does a whole lot of things because on play, first of all, you get to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. Then, if you Digicross with 2 cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5 play costs or less. Also, all turns, it has sort of like a floating capability because when this Digimon would be deleted, by returning a level 4 or lower black Digimon from this sources back to your hand, you can play 1 Skull Knightmon or Deadly Axemon from this Digivolution cards without paying its memory cost. So if it ever is in threat, it can give you value. So there's a lot of value in playing this card, and usually you do want to be Digicrossing and be hard playing this guy. It does cost 8, which is kind of expensive, which is why, once again, you want to be Digicrossing 2, utilizing your Skull Knightmon and your Deadly Axemon to reduce it down to 4, and you can control the board with this card is super, super good. That's why you have to play 4 copies of. Then we have the older DarkKnightmon right here, and I just really like the alt art in the middle, just super cool, super evil, super dark. Just looks so different compared to the regular art you guys can actually compare right here. But this one is our subsidiary level 5. We don't really need to maximize it at 4 of. I felt like it's kind of not super essential, so having 3 is actually a very good amount for me personally. DarkKnightmon does cost 7 for you to hard play, which is a lot of memory to commit to. We don't really use that effect anymore in this like most updated modern version of the build, but all turns when this Digimon is deleted, very similar to the BT10 one, you may play 1 Skull Knightmon and or Deadly Axemon from this Digimon's Digivolution card suspended without paying their memory costs. The difference is that they have to be suspended, but you can play 2 things, which is very nice, and it can give you quite decent value, so you can keep going with your combos, do more searching, and whatever you would like to do with this card is still very, very neat. Let's showcase the level 6s. We have the 3 copies of DarkKnightmon X Antibody. Now, most players really want to play 4 to optimize the efficiency of seeing this card as much as possible. However, I really feel like playing so many games of DarkKnightmon throughout, I feel like this card is actually not super necessary for you to win all the time. And I feel like a lot of times I search for it, I grab it, I draw into it, and really at most of the games I play, I only really utilize 1 copy after all. And he does Digivolve for 4 on top of a regular DarkKnightmon, which is very nice. He can also, when Digivolving, return a black or purple Digimon card other than DarkKnightmon X Antibody from your trash and recur resources back to your hand. Then, if DarkKnightmon or X Antibody is in this Digivolution cards, you get to delete a Tamer and unsuspend this Digimon. Now, keep in mind, there's a little bit of double-edged sword sometimes with the Tamer deletion, because you have to delete a Tamer. So if you can't delete one of your opponent's Tamers, you're going to have to delete your own. So no matter what, you have to delete it. But being to unsuspend, so then sometimes you can make more swings and more checks and more attacks for the turn. Pretty neat. But it also has on deletion, letting you play a DarkKnightmon from your trash without playing its memory cost. Synergizes very nicely with the BT10 one usually, because then we can do de-digivolving as well. So Yeah, really cool card though. And 3 is really all I like. That's it for level 6s. Level 7s, we got the 2 copies of DarkKnightmon. This is a black-based type of deck. Definitely utilize this card. This card is just super strong, super good. We all know how powerful this is, especially in combating against wide boards. And in this current meta, sometimes you get to play this card for free, which is really good and really cool. That's it for all of our Digimon. Let's talk about our Tamers. 3 copies of Izzy. Izzy is our memory tamer, super crucial, and our entire deck is focused on black cards and black Digimon. We effectively play this tamer for 3 every single time, which is really good. Also, with its on-play effect, allowing us to reveal the top 3 cards really helps and synergize greatly with our searching capabilities in this deck as well. So Izzy is just super good. Also, from security, he's kind of like a pseudo Hammer Spark. Then, for our new dedicated DarkKnightmon Tamer, we have 3 copies of Nene. She on play searches, grabbing you yourself 1 Nightmon Deadly Axemon in its name or Twilight in its traits, and you place the rest at the bottom. Another really good searching facilitator. Her second effect is that opponent's turn, all of your Digimon with DarkKnightmon or with Twilight in their traits gain blockers, so you can have really cool defensive capabilities in this deck as well. And for her third effect, on deletion, gain 2 memory, which is mainly dedicated to synergize along with your DarkKnightmon X Antibody to make it even more cost efficient. And I'll show you how the combos work. But again, I don't really feel like I need 4 copies of Nene. I don't feel like I focus a lot of plays on her usually, so 3 copies is really good enough. Otherwise, you guys can switch out the ratios and play 4 copies of her and then 2 copies of Izzy instead. But 3 and 3 for now is really good for me. That's it for Tamers. Let's talk about our options. We got 3 copies of Pride Memory Boost. This card is just super good in this deck, super insane. Synergizes greatly with most of our level 4 or lowers and our level 3s because we reveal the top 3 cards of our deck. We get to play 1 black Digimon that is play cost 4 or less. Usually we can play our Deadly Axemon, we can play our Skull Knightmons, we can even play, we can basically play anything, Monotamons, and just do more searching and, just comboing it with this card is just very nice. And then you trash the rest of the cards that we reviewed as well to set up for our trash, which is going to be useful as well. And then, of course, delay gain 2 memory is really good. Last but not least, I have one more option. I have 1 copy of Immortal Ruler. Now, this card is actually really cool. I really like it as a single tech, and it comes in super clutch situations. Because first and foremost, it is a black and purple option. However, if you have a Nene, you get to forgo the color requirements. Now, main, you trash the top 3 cards of your deck. Then you may play 1 DarkKnightmon from your trash for its play cost. Now, if you play a Digimon with Digi Xros requirements by this effect, you can also use cards from your trash for Digi Crossing, which is why we having some combos where we trash a lot of cards in our trash. Then we can set up for this card, which comes in very handy in the mid and late game. And effectively, we always want to be hard playing our DarkKnightmon. That is the BT10 version. So we can do Digicross, Digivolve, pop something, and then continue as well. So I really like this card, but 1 of is really all we need. Alright, with the 50 card main deck completed, let's also talk about some other cards and suggestions I have for you guys that you can consider when you're building this deck. So first and foremost, we have some of those memory blockers or reduced play cost blockers right here. We have the Chumon and the Chikurimon, definitely really good substitutes, or you can add in into your rookie lineup and juggle your ratio. Chumon is just really good to stop your opponents from gaining memory against certain matchups. It just shuts them down completely. Chikurimon is mainly like a Digicross counter deck, so that neither player can reduce play cost, and I have seen players play some of Chikurimon. However, personally, I don't really like to add this card because we do Digicross ourselves, and I would never ever want to run into a situation that I get blocked by my own effect of the Chikurimon, which is why I do not play it at all, but I'm just putting it out there because I have seen people play it and it has worked out for them. Next, for some options, we got 1 really cool option in here, which is X Antibody. Now, there's a really cool combo you can actually pull off with Skull Knightmon, Deadly Axemon into your DarkKnightmon, and then into your DarkKnightmon X Antibody all in 1 go. And that's really cool. I playtested a little bit. It's actually not as efficient and as consistent as I wish it was because it does require you to have a very specific board scenario and setup and possibly even the memory to play and pull this combo off. It's really cool when you do because it's very efficient. But overall, I feel like the deck space is really tight, and I just want to focus more on just like searching, trashing, and just cycle up DarkKnightmons over and over again as sort of my win condition. And like I mentioned earlier, I don't play that many copies of DarkKnightmon X Antibody, and I don't feel like I always need to go into it, which is the reason why this card isn't as good as I think, and I didn't choose to add it in. But once again, for some of you guys, I think it works out very nicely in the build if you're going for a completely different approach that you want to focus on the when attacking effects. Last but not least, for defensive capabilities, Ultimate Flare is just super good. Digivolving and popping wide boards is a bit of a very nice defensive capabilities. In this deck, we don't really have much defensive or traps for options when it comes to security, so considering adding 1 or 2 of these is also not a bad choice either. Okay, now that we talked about all the cards, let's show you guys the how to play and the combo segment. And as always, let's start with the how to play to this type of deck and what sort of approach you should be going for. Really, it's actually a lot of hard playing of your smaller Digimon, your Monotomons, your Rookies, and then your Deadly Axemons to really go for the searching, which many other decks kind of do. But there's a lot more in this deck, and Pride Memory Boost always gives you so much value when you're doing so. So searching, finding your pieces is really all what you're trying to do. And then when you have your Rookies, you're just trying to swing into your security and just chip away and slowly chip them bit by bit. And then while you're searching, you would find your DarkKnightmon, especially the BT10 one, and you use it to control the board from there. And then again, chip as much as you can. And that's sort of how you basically win. Now, in the meantime, you don't really try to build like a big stack or anything. You're actually building like mini stacks and pushing them out to do your combos. And let's show you guys how that is sort of done. So you would obviously hatch your egg, you would digivolve, ideally your Chikurimon, because it just provides you no value whatsoever when you hard play it, and you want to save your hard playing for your Monotomons instead. And then you can digivolve into a Skull Knightmon. So let's show you guys the Skull Knightmon and the Cavalier mode quick combo. 1 memory is really all you need. Once you have the Skull Knightmon set up right here, you can just push it out, pay 1 memory, and then go into your Cavalier mode. And then it will have jamming and blocker as well. But mainly what we're going to do right away is actually just swing with it so that you can gain security +1. And yeah, 2 checks, 5k jamming, really, really good. If it ever gets deleted by like a security option or anything, you get to resolve your Pagumon and search for more and continue your plays right there. Next, the other combo may be a little bit more difficult sometimes to set up, but you do want to have a Deadly Axemon and a Skull Knightmon. You don't need any memory. So if you have these 2 present on board ready, it's very, very nice. And usually you want to have to be seeing your good old BT7 DarkKnightmon for this. All you have to do is swing with your Skull Knightmon using its effect to place your Deadly Axemon underneath, and then you digivolve it into your DarkKnightmon here for 0 cost, which is very, very efficient because your DarkKnightmon will be security +1. It will also have the Deadly Axemon Inheritable, swing in for 2 checks for 9k. Now, it is kind of prone to be deleted by security battle sometimes, but in certain situations where it's really good value because now you can do a follow-up play with a DarkKnightmon X Antibody. So there's 2 ways you can do about it. You can pay your 4 memory to digivolve it into your DarkKnightmon X Antibody. You can either delete one of your opponent's Tamers, or if not, if you had a Nene to begin with here, you can delete your own Nene and then gain 2 memory back with her on deletion, and also unsuspend the DarkKnightmon X Antibody. Usually, unless if I'm really trying to choke my opponent and trying to manipulate the memory gauge, I actually rather keep the Nene here on board, simply because Nene will give your DarkKnightmon blocker. So you have a 12 gate blocker here on your board, is actually very, very nice as well. So really just identify which the best situation is when you want to play that combo in particular. Okay, now for the Digi Xros combo. The first thing to understand with this deck is that you guys notice that there's no save mechanic. So there's no saving underneath Nene, and there's no way that you can be using resources from Nene or your Tamers to be Digi Crossing. And this is why having the vast amount of search power and having the vast amount of cards in your hand is really the advantage of playing this combo here. This is the stuff you want to be seeing in your hand. You want to see your multiple different Deadly Axemons, your Skull Knightmon, Mighty Axe mode, Skull Knightmon itself, Cavalier modes, and then once again, play these small cards in your early game to find as many of these guys as possible. Because when you do Digicross and hard plays as DarkKnightmon, let's just say you're just at 1 memory, whatnot, you hard play it, you would effectively pay 4, because you can then choose and pick which ones. It's very good that both Cavalier mode and Mighty Axe mode can be treated for either of your DarkKnightmons and your Deadly Axemons, but ideally you want to be putting your Skull Knightmon original and your Deadly Axemon original underneath as well. So then this DarkKnightmon will gain security +1 and extra 2k, very similar to the OG DarkKnightmon combo right here. Otherwise, having these two is not a problem either. And then if your DarkKnightmon is ever in threat, both either of these, you can play these guys back from underneath the sources, which is very, very nice. And then for this particular DarkKnightmon, you can return one and then play the other, which I always usually, if it's in threat, I would like to return the Skullknightmon simply because I can use it again for the security +1 for later, and then hard play the Deadly Axemon because I can search, and there's a lot of value by doing so with that card. And that's really the sort of like quick combos and how to play with this deck. There's not a whole lot of like crazy stuff you want to be doing, but you just want to rinse and repeat the same strategy over and over again. Identify your matchup, control the board, and keep swinging and chip away your opponent's security until you got the chance to go for the game. That will conclude for my very own deck building strategy and in-depth guide for the DarkKnightmon Deck Profile video. If you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful, please give it a like. If you have any suggestions, recommendations, or questions, be sure to share it with everyone in the comments down below. Overall, the DarkKnightmon deck is very interesting. The deck has very fair matchups against all the other popular decks of the format. Making good micro decisions throughout the game is key to doing well with it. And I'm very sure more DarkKnightmon related cards have yet to be released, and I just can't wait for more because he's just a really cool Digimon. Any of you guys feel the same and are just as excited for more DarkKnightmon deck profiles and content on the channel, then be sure to hit that subscribe button right now, turn on that notification bell, stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. This is Avault, signing out.